Hello, people. A very good evening. Hope you're doing great. And a happy Pongal to all of you. So we'll just wait for a minute so that it'll make me host, and then we'll start right away. So all of you at Pongal, did all of you pray to the sun god? Right, this is for the sun god. If you don't know, why are you celebrating Pongal? Right? Right. Okay, I think I made the host now. Right. Okay, let me share my screen, people. Okay, so we saw so many things last class, right? We saw about how to name the compounds. We saw this tautomerism, which is very, very important, right? We saw that, right? We saw how to write the tautomeric structures, keto, tautomerism, everything we saw last class, right? And also we started with preparation of aldehydes and ketones, right? Now, I said that there are certain ways by which you'll be able to prepare aldehyde as well as ketone, and there'll be a way by which you'll be able to prepare only your aldehyde or ketone, right? Both aldehyde and ketone, certain processes. Another way is that, another thing is that only aldehyde or only ketone can be produced by that particular thing, right? And we saw the first one among that was ozonolysis, right? The first one among that from alkenes, right? From alkenes to ozonolysis. We saw how it is happening, right? All that we have to understand is we have, wherever you have the C double bond C, break it, put oxygen, oxygen. That's all we have to do, right? That's all you have to do. And I don't know, last class, what happened to all of you? There was no response at all. Like, I hope you guys understand what exactly you have to do. Very, very simple. Wherever you find C double bond C, break the C double bond C, put C double bond to this side, C double bond to that side. Very, very simple, right? That's all we did in all the examples which we took. Very, very easily we can do that. How many ever double bonds you have, just break all the double bonds and put C double bond to this side, C double bond to that side, right? So that is the first method of preparation. All right, people. Okay. Now the second method, from alkenes only we'll be able to prepare. No, we'll not be able to prepare it from alkenes. Say we will prepare it from alcohols. Right. Now you will be able to prepare from alcohols by the process of, we know, right? Alcohols can be oxidized. Right? Alcohols can be oxidized to aldehydes or ketones. We already know this. Right? You would have studied this in your alcohols, phenols, ethers chapter, right? Okay. Now, for example, people, we have, say, primary alcohol, right? We have, say, primary alcohol. Primary alcohol on oxidation will either give you an acid, that is carboxylic acid, or an aldehyde. Okay. A primary alcohol, we are talking about alcohols, from alcohols we are preparing, right? So primary alcohols on oxidation will either give you acid or aldehyde depending on what is the oxidizing agent. Okay, right. Now if I'm going for secondary alcohol, irrespective of whatever be the oxidizing agent you use, you are always going to end up with ketone. Okay, right. Now, how exactly do we derive only aldehyde from primary alcohols? It's very important. So primary alcohols with weak oxidizing agent, WOA, is what? Weak oxidizing agent. Okay, so if at all I use a weak oxidizing agent, you are going to end up with aldehyde. Okay, but same primary alcohol, if at all you're going to use a strong oxidizing agent, what is this? Strong oxidizing agent, we are going to end up with carboxylic acids. Okay, right. Now, what are the different weak oxidizing agents, strong oxidizing agents we can have in organic chemistry? Say examples of WOA, that is your weak oxidizing agents, are only two things. One is PCC. I think this is there in your syllabus. The other one also you can know, that is called dibal-H. I think dibal is a reducing agent, only PCC. Don't worry about it. Okay, right. So the one famous example for weak oxidizing agent is PCC, right? So can someone tell me what is the full form of PCC? I think you should have studied this reaction.
Pyridinium chlorochromate.
Right, good. It is called pyridinium chlorochromate. Chlorochromate. Right? So now this is an example for a weak oxidizing agent. Okay, say if at all I have to take an example, say I have to take a primary alcohol, say RCH2OH. Now we understand that it is a primary alcohol only. The carbon atom having OH is attached to only one other carbon atom. Okay, now you understand that if I put PCC, right, now this CH2OH will become RCH. That is what is going to happen. Okay, right? So this is a weak oxidizing agent. It will make sure that the alcohol will get oxidized only to aldehyde and not further. If at all I go for further oxidation, it can produce your acids. Okay, but same primary alcohol, say RCH2OH, right? Now example for a strong oxidizing agent, SOA. What are the different examples I can have? Say K2Cr2O7, very strong oxidizing agent. KMNO4, again a very strong oxidizing agent. Okay, so if at all you use any of them, right, in this case, say for example, I use KMNO4, right? Now in this case, you are going to get a carboxylic acid. You are not going to form an aldehyde, but in you're going to form a carboxylic acid, right? So the weak oxidizing agent in a primary alcohol will give us aldehyde. A strong oxidizing agent on a primary alcohol will give us acids. Okay, right. Now, what about secondary alcohols then? Now, secondary alcohols, I told you, irrespective of whatever be the oxidizing agent, you can always form only ketones, right? Say, for example, if at all I have something like this, RCHOH, RNF, something like that, secondary alcohol, right? This is a secondary alcohol. Okay. Now, this secondary alcohol on reaction with PCC, or even if you go for a strong oxidizing agent like KMNO4, doesn't matter, right? It is always going to end up with RC double bond O R dash. Okay, RC double bond O R dash is what we are going to do, right? And the mechanisms of these reactions are not in your syllabus. And even if you want to know, it is a little complex. Okay, don't worry about those things, right? So PCC or KMNO4 with secondary alcohol will always form a ketone, but a primary alcohol with PCC will form aldehyde, but a primary alcohol with a strong oxidizing agent is always going to form an acid. Right? Okay. So if at all I want to take specific examples, we can take, right? Say for example, we have CH3OH, right? Now CH3OH on PCC, can you tell me what is going to be the product? Quick. What is the answer? CH3OH on PCC. What is the answer?
CH3CHO.
CH3CHO.
CH3CHO. How many carbon atoms are there?
HCHO.
People, yes, absolutely. Right? There's only one carbon atom. So only one carbon atom should be there on the aldehyde also. Okay. Say for example, if I had CH3, CHOH, CH3. Now I know you will easily predict the answer. In this case, I'm going to get acetone, CH3, C double bond, OCH3. Something like that will be able to do. Right? Very simple reaction. All right, people. Right? Okay. So that is about preparation of aldehyde or ketone from alcohol. Primary alcohol, weak oxidizing agent, aldehyde. Secondary alcohol, weak or strong oxidizing agent, ketone. Done. Right? So that is from alcohols. Okay. Right. Next, is there any other method I'll be able to produce both aldehyde and ketone? Is there any other method?
See you at 573.
Sorry?
We have to pass the vapors of primary or secondary alcohol to
yes,
copper.
That is also there. Yes, it's called dehydrogenation. Right? Same from alcohols only. This is from alcohols only. Right? Now, what are you going to do? Same thing. Primary alcohol on heating with copper. You can mention the temperature also if you want. Okay. On heating with copper, aldehyde. Right. Secondary alcohol on heating with copper is going to form ketone. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'll be back. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, my apologies, people. I had to change the place because there was so much noise. Okay, so dehydrogenation from like again we're going to produce it from alcohols only, right? Primary alcohols will directly give aldehyde. Secondary alcohols will give ketone, but in this case, tertiary alcohols can also be used, but in this case, we are going to get an alkene. Okay, in this case, you're going to get an alkene. Okay, let us take some examples, right? Say, for example, if I had CH3, CH2OH on reacting with copper and heating it, right? Now, primary alcohol is going to form a ketone, CH3, CHO, right? Okay, now say, for example, let me take this alcohol. This is the secondary alcohol, right, people? Now, this particular carbon atom is attached to OH, and that carbon atom having OH attached to two other carbon atoms. Right now, in this case, if you go for copper in the presence of heating, you are going to form double bond O here, right? C double bond O here, right? Now, if I take a tertiary alcohol like this, right? Now, in this case, we are going for copper and heating, we are going to form an alkene. Remember that OH will be removed from this, okay? And H can be removed from any one of them, okay? Right? Any one of them, you will be able to remove H. So I can write CH3, C double bond CH2. That is, I have removed hydrogen from this carbon atom, other things stays. Okay. Now, this is again a method of preparation of aldehyde or a ketone from a particular alcohol. Right? Primary alcohol in this case aldehyde, secondary alcohol ketone, tertiary alcohol is going to give us alkene. Very, very simple. This also we know. Right? Okay. Fine. I think these are all the methods by which you'll be able to produce both aldehyde as well as ketone. If at all anything is missing, I'll let you know. Okay. For now, these are all the methods by which you'll be able to prepare both aldehydes as well as ketones. Okay. Right. Now let us understand, is there any other method we'll be able to produce only ketones? Okay. We'll see, is there any method by which we'll be able to prepare only ketones? We'll try to understand. Okay, people. Right. Now, only ketones can be produced by this beautifully. First method is that, what to say, cyanides. From cyanides, okay, I'll write it as from cyanides with Grignard reagent. Okay, from cyanides, we are going to prepare only ketones. Ketones only are the only possibility, right? And we are going for formation of, with cyanides, with Grignard reagent can only form ketones and not aldehydes. Okay, we will try to understand how, right, people? Now we'll directly go for the mechanism, right? So we have this RC triple bond N, okay, that is your alkyl cyanides, okay, and this on reaction with, say, a Grignard reagent, RMgX, R-MgX. Okay, people. Now we understand that this carbon is having a del negative and this, del positive, right? And this nitrogen will have a del negative because nitrogen is more electronegative, carbon is less electronegative. Okay, and we understand that in case of your Grignard reagent, this is a R minus and this whole term is Mgx plus, whole plus. This is like an ionic species, is it not? The alkyl group will have a negative charge and the Mgx will have a positive charge. Okay, now all that we are going to do is take this R minus and make it attack your C carbon, which is having the nitrogen, because that is having a del plus. Okay, positive negative attracts. Okay, now if that happens, this carbon cannot have more than 4 bonds. Already 4 bonds are there. 1, 2, 3, again 4th bond is there. Right now, if at all this R is going to come and attack this particular carbon, obviously one of the bond has to break, and I can easily break the pi bond hydrolytically. Okay, so you eventually are going to form N minus, and this Mgx plus is going to come and attack the N minus. Okay, so eventually we are going to form R dash to this carbon. This R dash is attached. Okay, and double bond is there. N to that, what is attached? Mgx is attached. No issues. Okay, now that is very simple. Then what you're going to do? You're going for hydrolysis. Okay, H3O plus. Okay, now you can if at all you want to understand how exactly this is happening, you can put anyways, don't worry about it. I don't want to go for the mechanism of how exactly the hydrolysis is happening. All that you have to understand is break this here and put oxygen here. Instead of nitrogen, put oxygen. Right? So what are we going to have? R C double bond O R dash. R C double bond O R dash, like this. Okay, so irrespective of whatever be the cyanide, you are always going to end up with your ketone, right? Okay, now if I give you a specific example, will you be able to do that? Say I have CH3, CH2, C triple bond N, okay, and I'm going for say CH3 MgBr. I want you to show the mechanism and the final product. Go for it, people. And once you're done, you can send me in WhatsApp. I can check it. Right? Show me the mechanism, right? And show me the final product. Okay, obviously we're going for hydrolysis also, right? That I'm mentioning here. Okay, but you have to show me the mechanism and the final product, both. You can send me in WhatsApp once you're done. Once again, I don't have my phone with me. Just a moment, people. I just bring my phone by the time you do. Okay. Okay. I hope you guys are doing. I didn't get any message yet. Okay, something came up. So we have that CH3N minus MgBr. Okay, the product is correct, but you have to show the arrow shootings properly. I think this is Rohan, right? Rohan, you have to show the arrow shootings.
Right, sir.
Yeah, the product is correct. Okay, people, it's very simple. So what are we going to do? First, we are going to take the CH3 minus, going and attacking this particular carbon, and this bond breaks, right? And obviously, this MgBr is going to attack this particular nitrogen. Okay, this arrow shooting has to be shown very properly. Okay, now once you do that, we have CH3, CH2, C. Now I had another CH3 attacking this particular carbon, right? And I have a double bond N minus MgX plus, or MgBr in this case, N minus MgBr plus. No issues. Okay, then what I have to do? I have to go for hydrolysis. So all that we have to do is break this C double bond N and put C double bond O. So we have CH3, CH2, C double bond O is there, and to that I had another CH3 is attached. Very simple, right? Okay, one more question quickly we'll do. One more question, quick we'll do, right? Fine. Or I can give you a conversion, right? Right, okay. So people, I want you to convert this, no, this will not work. Say CH3, C triple bond N, I want you to convert it into this one, right? Can you do this conversion quickly and tell me? Okay, I want to convert this cyanide into this one. So you know what you're going to do. You're going for Grignard reagent only. So if you can just realize what is the Grignard reagent which you have to use, you are set.
So it's a benzene, the cyclic compound with MgBr.
Yeah, correct. You have to take the Grignard reagent as a cyclic compound. Think about it. Think about it. Show me the mechanism. Show me the Grignard reagent. Show me the final product. Everything you do.
So the halogen can be anything. So Grignard reagent.
Sorry?
Can be Mg. The halogen can be anything, right?
Halogen can be
Anything in the Grignard reagent. Need not be only
No.
MgBr.
nothing to do with the halogens here. The same thing, whatever we are saying from cyanides to Grignard reagent, you will be able to form a ketone. That's it.
So sir, we have to show mechanism, sir.
Yeah, mechanism you have to show, yes. Like for your school, mechanism is not important. But again, for the knowledge point of view, yes, mechanism is very important. And once you're done, you can send me WhatsApp. Guys, please do not sit idle, right? I can make you switch on the videos, right? And I can see what exactly are you doing, right? You can tell me, sir, I will not switch on. Then anyways, I have to speak to your parents then. I still have the sheet in which I have all your parents' numbers, your mom, dad's, both your numbers, right? Please do not sit idle. We'll give you 1 more minute.
Sent it, sir.
You sent, okay. Okay, that's the Grignard reagent attacking there. The arrow shooting should come from the carbon atom having negative charge, Rohan. You cannot put randomly some carbon attacking that, right?
So the one which is connected to Mg, sir. From there, I have to begin.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, the mechanism is almost correct, 99% correct. Okay, so people, in this case, what is the Grignard reagent used? See, you understand that this CH3C is there, right? And this C is the one I know which is going to get double bond O, that is getting what is extra? The extra is only this ring. Okay, so definitely the ring compound only should have been the Grignard reagent. Very simple, right? The C6H5, not C6H5, this is cyclohexyl ring with MgBr. Very simple, right? So we have this CH3 C triple bond N with MgBr, and you have to understand that it is this carbon, this particular carbon which is having the negative charge, that has to come and attack the carbon, and this bond will break, and eventually MgBr is going to come and attack here, right? So what will happen now? We have CH3 C with the cyclohexyl ring, double bond with NMgBr. Then what you have to do? Go for hydrolysis, H3O plus, right? So you'll break this bond, oxygen, I mean, not oxygen, oxygen, only one side oxygen. So you will form what? This particular ring you start with, right? This part, or you can write C double bond O, and that is having a CH3, okay? And to this, what is attached? To this, your cyclohexyl ring is attached. This compound and this compound are exactly same. This you can also write it as C double bond O with the CH2. Yeah. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, I hope that made a lot of sense to you. And I hope everyone is understanding. Even if you don't understand, please ask me. I'll be able to, I am ready to explain you n number of times. But if you're going to sit idle, that to an online class, not understanding anything, telling me that you're not understanding and just sitting, you are not going to get benefited. Let me tell you that. Okay, I hope everybody is understanding. Cool, cool. Next reaction by which you'll be able to prepare only ketone. Is there any other reaction? Fine. Like if I remember anything, I'll tell you. Right now, let us see if there are any other reactions there where I can produce only aldehydes. Okay, only aldehydes I'm going to prepare. Okay, now first reaction under this is from acid chlorides. Okay, from acid chlorides we are going to prepare, and I think the first name reaction you're going to see, there are I think various methods by which we'll be able to prepare aldehydes from acid chlorides. Okay, the first one is what is called as what is the name of the reaction? We have RCOCl getting converted into RCHO. I forgot the name of the reaction. What is it called as? Oh God. It's called, anybody remembers? What is the name of the reaction?
Hydrogenation, sir.
No. This is not hydrogenation. It's a name reaction.
Halogenation.
No, 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 no.
Dehalogenation.
No, name.
Dehalogenation.
That's not a name. That's a type of reaction, right? Name like say Akash, Rohan, Nikhilesh, like that name reaction it is. It is called as ETARD is different, like similar to ETARD, or there is one reaction, right?
Stephen reduction.
Sorry?
Stephen reduction.
Thank you so much. That's actually from this thing. I think this is ETARD, I guess. Okay, this reaction is ETARD. Okay, this is correct. This reaction is what is called as ETARD reaction. Okay, now what you have to use here, you have to use CrO3. That's what you have to use. Okay, now if you use CrO3, you will be able to convert this RCOCl into RCHO. Right, very simple. You don't know the mechanism as such. Don't worry about it. Right, all that you have to understand is if you put CrO3 for I think it's not CrO3. It is Cr. Let me check. 1 second. No, that is not ETARD reaction. That is from toluene from acid chloride. Okay, that's so long.
Rosenman, sir.
Or Rosenman reduction, right? Thank you so much. Yes, Rosenman reduction. Okay, that is hydrogenation. Cool. Right. So let me go back. Let me share my screen. Okay. Sorry guys, this is not ETARD. ETARD is different. Okay. Now this acid chloride can be easily converted into your aldehyde, but the reaction is what is called as Rosenmund reduction. Rosenmund reduction, right? And it is not CrO3. Okay, we have to use reducing agent. You can see it is reduction, right? So we have to use H2 in the presence of palladium poisoned with BaSO4. Please understand that this BaSO4 is going to act as a poison. What is a poison? Poison is something which is going to decrease the activity of the catalyst. Decrease the activity of the catalyst, right? So the palladium is the catalyst, okay? Right, palladium is the catalyst. Okay, now along with that you had something called as a poison, that is nothing but BaSO4, and this BaSO4 what is going to do? It is going to make sure that the catalyst activity is not so much, it is going to decrease the activity of the catalyst. That is what is called as poison. You will study more about this in surface chemistry. Okay, right, in surface chemistry you will study about activators, poison, catalysis entirely is there. You will study about it there. Now all that you have to understand is we have to use H2 in the presence of palladium poisoned with BaSO4. Okay, this is a reduction process. So from acid chlorides directly you will be able to get your aldehydes, and this reaction is what is called as Rosenmund reduction. Okay, right, good. Next, from cyanides. Okay, actually from cyanides I would have seen, okay, from cyanides, but in this case no Grignard reagent is used. Okay, right, and we'll be able to produce only aldehydes again, right? Last time we saw from cyanides with the help of Grignard reagent we are able to produce only ketone. In this case we are going to produce only aldehydes from cyanides. We'll see how. And this reaction is what is called as Stephen's reduction. right? This reaction is what is called as Stephen's reduction. Okay, right. So what are we going to do? Here we have this RC triple bond N, right? And then we have to go for reduction using tin in the presence of HCl. Okay, SN is tin in the presence of HCl. This is your reducing agent. Right? This is your reducing agent. So here we are going to form RCHO. Right? So people, I didn't give you an example for last time. Say for example, if at all I had this, say I just give you something, RCOCl. I have like this is the R, right? Now when I go for H2 in the presence of palladium poisoned with BaSO4, all that you have to do is replace this Cl with H. That's it. Very, very simple. Okay. Replace the Cl with H. So we will have C double bond O. Now that Cl is replaced by a H. Very, very simple. Okay. Say in another simple example would be CH3, C double bond OCl. Again with the same thing, H2 in the presence of palladium poisoned with BaSO4. Again, what you have to do? Replace the Cl with H. So we will have CH3, C double bond OH. Very simple. Okay. Right. Now in Stephen's reduction, what are we doing? In Stephen's reduction, we are taking a cyanide, right, on reaction with SN bar HCl, that is the reducing agent. Again, it is going to form RCHO, right? So if at all I want to give you any example, say something like this, CN in the presence of SN bar HCl, right? Now this is going to become C double bond O with a H. Now this CN entirely is converted into CHO. Okay, that is your Stephen's reduction. Only aldehyde will be produced. No other way. Like no other ketone or something will be produced. Okay. Now at last, we have third one. Again, we'll be able to produce only aldehydes in this, right? And we are going to produce it from toluene. Okay. Now we know what is toluene, right? Okay, fine. This reaction is what is called as Etard reaction. Okay, this reaction is what is called as Etard reaction. Okay, people, right? So we know what is the formula for toluene. Toluene is benzene ring with one CH3. Okay, now what all we have to use? We have to use CrO2Cl2. Okay, now this CrO2Cl2 is what is called as chromyl chloride. Where did you see this chromyl chloride, people? Any other place where did you see this chromyl chloride? Chromyl chloride, did you see anywhere else? Salt analysis. Did you see this in salt analysis?
In school, sir.
No. Okay. So there is something called as a chromyl chloride test. Okay. There's something called as a chromyl chloride test, which is used for testing your chloride, Cl minus. If at all you want to confirm that Cl minus is present in the salt, then you go for something called as chromyl chloride test. The chromyl chloride formula is CrO2Cl2. Okay, right. So now you don't have to remember the mechanism, nothing you have to understand. All that we need is this benzene ring with CH3 is now getting converted into CHO. Okay, now it's a beautiful method of directly converting your what is that, toluene into benzaldehyde. This is what is called as benzaldehyde. Right now, if you ask me, is there any other compound which will give this reaction? No, it is only toluene. Right, only toluene which can give this reaction. No other compound can be converted into, or say no other hydrocarbon. This is a hydrocarbon, right? Only hydrogen and carbons are present. No other hydrocarbon can be directly converted into aldehyde like this, but only toluene. Very special reaction, Etard reaction. Okay, so toluene to directly benzaldehyde with the presence of chromyl chloride is what is called as Etard reaction. And these three reactions are very, 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 very important. Okay, only aldehydes, that is Rosenman reduction, Stephen's reduction, and at last Etard reaction. All these are very, 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 very important. Okay, it's just give me one moment and I'll be back. Okay, 1 second, I'll be back. Right. So any other method is there for preparing only aldehydes? Can you think of? I don't know. I don't think you know this. Fourth and final one. Right. Fourth and final one. Right. From acids, from carboxylic acids. Right. From carboxylic acids also, you'll be able to produce only aldehydes, not ketones. Okay. Now remember this, people. You will again see this reaction carboxylic acid part also. But again, I'm telling here also I'm telling. So if you have RCOOH, that is carboxylic acid. Okay. Now, when you go for reduction, like this term, like whenever I put H in brackets, that means it's reduction. Okay. So whenever we go for reduction, there are two possibilities. One, either you can go for RCHO, that is your aldehyde, or you will be able to convert acids directly into alcohols. It's exactly ulta, right? We have seen oxidation of aldehydes or alcohols will give you primary alcohols, will give us acids, right? Now it's the opposite process where the acid is reduced to form an aldehyde or a carboxylic acid. Sorry, reduced to form an aldehyde or an alcohol, primary alcohol, right? So again, now whether this is going to get formed or this is going to get formed is going to depend upon what is the reducing agent used. Okay, what is the reducing agent used? So what we need to understand is RCOOH with a weak reducing agent, WRA, right? Weak reducing agent. It is nothing but weak reducing agent. Okay. Now this weak reducing agent reacting with your acid is going to form an aldehyde, RCHO. Okay. But if at all I have a strong reducing agent, say RCOOH is there, right? And if at all you go for any strong reducing agent, SRA. SRA is what? Strong reducing agent, right? Now that is going to end up with RCH2OH. Okay, right. Now we know what are all the different, there is only one weak reducing agent you have to know. Okay, and that is DiBalH. Okay, and that is what is called as DiBalH. Okay, now what is the full form of DiBalH? Right, DiBalH is diisobutyl, right, aluminium hydride. Right, what is the full form of DiBalH? Diisobutyl aluminium hydride is a weak reducing agent which will be able to reduce your aldehydes to aldehydes specifically, right? Okay, now then what is an example for a strong reducing agent, right? A strong reducing agent example I think you all know, that is LiAlH4, right? Lithium aluminum hydride is a very strong reducing agent, and if you use that, it is going to convert your acid directly into alcohols and not aldehydes. Okay, so this is another method by which you'll be able to prepare only aldehyde. Again, you have to use a weak reducing agent. If you use a strong reducing agent, you have to go and end up with alcohols, primary alcohols, right? So these four are the methods by which you'll be able to prepare only your aldehydes, only your aldehydes. Okay, and by the cyanide with Grignard reagent, you'll be able to produce only ketone, and with alcohol oxidation, or say with the help of your dehydrogenation, that is copper heating, or if you go for ozonolysis, right, you will be able to produce both aldehyde as well as a ketone. Right, very simple, right? I think these are all the different methods by which you'll be able to prepare aldehydes or ketones. Okay, right? Fine. Now we'll move on. We will move on to the chemical properties. We'll move on to the chemical properties, how it will react, right, with some other species. Okay, now one reaction you already know, people, right? First one with the Grignard reagent, which you already know. The Grignard reagent. That is aldehydes and ketones with Grignard reagent. Okay, right. Now, can you tell me, if at all I have, say, C double bond O in general, if C double bond O in general, either an aldehyde or a ketone, and I go for RNGX, what is going to be the general product, people? You already studied this in alcohol ethers phenols chapter, right? So what will be the product here? C double bond O with RNGX.
So below C, that R group will be attached, and above that MgX will be attached to the O.
Good. That is a good thing, right? So we understand that this R minus will go and attract this particular carbon, and this O minus will come, and that O minus will take up the Mg plus. Very good. So we have O Mgx, and we have this R here and two other bonds. What can I do then? Then what will you do?
And H2O, right?
Exactly. We can go for hydrolysis. So what will happen now? This entire
O
Mgx will be replaced by
become
H.
OH.
Exactly. So this will become OH, and you have an alkylate. Okay, people. So remember that whenever aldehyde or a ketone reacts with the Grignard reagent, that is always going to produce alcohols. Okay, that is always going to produce alcohols. This we already know, right? Okay, but depending on what is the aldehyde and what is the ketone, you will get different types of alcohol: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Okay, right. Now what you have to understand is, people, right? See, if at all I have both of them to be hydrogen, that is nothing but HCHO. Okay, that is nothing but HCHO. Now, if I go for any Grignard reagent, right? Now, what will happen? Again, same mechanism only. This will come and attack here, right? We are going to form a primary alcohol. You will understand, right? So you will form the C, H, another H. We have O, MgX, and with R coming here, right? Now, this on hydrolysis will form as what? R is there, right? This is CHH. This is nothing but CH2, and this entire thing will convert into OH, right? So we know whenever HCHO is used, you will always form only primary alcohol, no other possibility, right? Okay. Now moving on, say if at all I have one hydrogen and another alkyl group, that is nothing but an aldehyde, any other aldehyde other than formaldehyde, other than HCHO, right? Other, like I say, you can start with CH3, C2H5, it can be anything but not H. Okay. Now to that, if you put a Grignard reagent, say R-MgX, again same mechanism will happen.
2 degree.
Right? Yeah, 2 degree alcohol is going to get formed. Absolutely. Right? So we have R, C, O minus, MgX plus, and with the H here, right? Again, another R dash is going to come here. This R dash is going to attack this particular carbon, right? So then on hydrolysis, we are going to form R, C, OH, H is there, CH is there, and that is also attached to this R dash. This is a secondary alcohol. Whenever you have any other aldehyde other than formaldehyde, we will always end up with secondary alcohols. Okay, right. Now, at last, if at all we have both of them to be an alkyl group like this, that is a ketone here, right? Now that on reaction with, say, this is R dash, R double dash will keep, right? Now this R double dash is going to come back here, this one breaks, same thing, R, C, O minus, MgX plus. Now we got R double dash here, we already have a R dash here. On that, on hydrolysis is going to form what? 3 degree alcohol, obviously. R, OH it will become. I have a R dash here and I have R double dash here. You will always end up with a tertiary alcohol, right? So the thing is that if you use HCHO, no matter what, you'll always end up with primary alcohol. If you use any other aldehyde other than formaldehyde, secondary alcohol. If you use a ketone, tertiary alcohol. Very, very simple. Okay, right. So if I ask you to do this conversion, whatever the conversion I'm going to give you, say I want you to convert okay, this particular ketone I have, okay, I want you to convert it into okay, can you do this conversion? What should I add here?
The cyclic ring with MgX.
Sorry?
Cyclo
like
cyclobutanol
four.
and MgX, right?
Cyclo.
Cyclobutane at one side and MgX. That
Correct. That's it. That's it. Right. Very simple. This thing stays, and this is going to become OH. That is common. What is coming extra? This is the only thing which is coming extra. So obviously that will come from the Grignard reagent. Right. So obviously the Grignard reagent used here would have been this cyclobutyl ring with an MgBr or say in general MgX. The mechanism is very similar. This will come, attack here. This bond breaks, MgX, eventually hydrolysis to form this compound. Very simple. Okay, nothing, no big deal. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay, right. So that is about reaction with Grignard reagent, which you already know, right? Just a recap of whatever we saw in aldehydes and ketones. Okay, fine. So that is with Grignard reagent. Okay, next class of reactions we're going to see are nucleophilic addition reactions. Right now, in the starting of the chapter itself, I told you that these kind of reactions can happen. Right. So if you can remember properly, right? So we have this C double bond O. Okay, and we know that this is having a del plus and this oxygen is having a del minus, because I know the bond is polar. Oxygen is more electronegative, carbon is less electronegative, electron flow more towards oxygen, away from carbon, so on and so forth. Whatever, we are going to have a del positive on this carbon and del negative on this oxygen. Okay, people. So from the name, you are understanding that we are going to add a nucleophile to this, right? We are going to add a nucleophile to this, right? So obviously, where will the nucleophile attack? Wherever it has positive charge, there only it will attack, right? So obviously, this nucleophile is going to attack this particular carbonyl carbon. Okay, right? And you will understand that we would have had this nucleophile coming here, and this bond obviously would have broken, right? This because carbon cannot have more than 4 bonds, so this would have become this would have broken to be O minus, right? And obviously, if at all there is any other electrophile that is going to attack, that is going to come and attack here on this oxygen, and you're going to form that particular compound. Don't worry about it. For now, we have O minus. That's it. Okay, so this is exactly what is called as a nucleophilic addition reaction, right? Nucleophilic addition reaction. Very, very simple, right? You take the nucleophile, add it to the C double bond, carbonyl carbon, break the C double bond O, and whatever be the electrophile that is going to come, right? So can I tell that this particular reaction which you are seeing with Grignard reagent, is it not an example for a nucleophilic addition? What is happening? This R minus is a nucleophile that came and attacked, this bond broke, and eventually what is happening? This is an example for a nucleophilic addition reaction only, right? So your carbonyl compounds with Grignard reagent is nothing but a nucleophilic addition reaction. Okay, right. Now, what are the different types of addition reactions we can have? But before that, right, we have to understand which is more reactive. Aldehyde is more reactive, or ketone is more reactive with respect to this nucleophilic addition reaction. A very important question. Okay, very, very important question. Which is more reactive towards nucleophilic addition reaction, they ask, right? Now, let us look into this very properly. Okay, people, right? So in an aldehyde, what we have an CH bond is there, right? And we have an alkyl group R. Okay, now in ketone, we know what we have. We have both sides alkyl groups. Okay, right. Now, can I tell this point? Can I tell this point that the amount of del plus you have on the carbonyl carbon, the del plus here, which is there on the carbonyl carbon, more and more is the value of this partial positive charge, more and more will be the reactivity, towards nucleophilic addition reaction. Can I tell this point, people? Right? More and more is the positive charge on the carbonyl carbon, that is C double bond O carbon, right? More and more will be the reactivity towards nucleophilic addition. Why is it like this? Because more and more positive charge, more and more attractive force between the positive charge and the nucleophile. Is it not? Right? More and more positive charge means more and more will be the attractive force between that particular carbonyl carbon and the nucleophile, right? Attractive force, because opposites attract more charge means more attractive force, right? So this is one point, right? This is definitely one point. More and more is the amount of positive charge on the carbon, more and more will be the reactivity of that particular compound towards your nucleophilic addition reactions. Right? Okay. Now, how do we decide then? Which, say here it is going to be del 1 positive and say here it is del 2 positive. Okay. Now, everybody will go to your chat box and put which is greater. Del 1 is greater or del 2 is greater. Go to your chat box, people. Do not answer now. Go to your chat box and put which one is greater. Del 1 plus or del 2 plus. Which is greater? Go to your chat box and put the answers there. Go for it. I'm going to check the chat box now. Okay, let me show it to you also so that, okay, it's visible, right? Yeah, there's something in the chat. Del 1, okay, fine. Come on, everybody. How many people are there? There are almost 12 people. I want 12 answers here. Go for it. Okay, Nandakesh should also say the same thing. Del 1. Come on, everybody. Okay, Devesh Nanda also says it's del 1. Go on, people. Go on. You don't know whether it's right or wrong. Okay, till I say something, you don't know whether it's right or wrong. You just put what you feel. Okay, and Niklesh also says del 1. Okay, fine. Go on, people. Everybody. Don't make me call names. You behave yourself. Please go on and put in the chat box which is greater. Del 1 is greater or del 2 is greater. Okay, Anandita says del 1 again. Sasank also says del 1. That also says del 1. Everybody says del 1. Okay, fine. So anybody wants to be a representative and tell, okay, sir, this is the reason why we are telling del 1 as the answer. Is there any answer like that? Please go on. Anybody can unmute myself and speak. Why is it that del 1 you feel is greater, people?
So in aldehyde, sir, we have R and H, sir.
Okay.
R will give a positive charge to itself and C will get a partial negative charge, sir.
R will, okay,
Yes.
fine.
R is
Okay.
an electron donating group, right?
Yes, sir. R is electron donating. So
Yes,
in ketones, in the two
alkyl-
electron donating groups, C will be more negative in keton.
Yes,
and
I understand what you're
nucleophile.
trying to say. Absolutely true. Right? So we have the alkyl groups. All alkyl groups are electron donating groups. Right? All alkyl groups are electron donating group. So if they are going to donate electron here, they have only one electron donating group here. But here I have two electron donating groups, people. Right? I have two electron donating groups here. Okay, so definitely del 1 plus is going to be greater because electron donating means what? Definitely the positives will decrease, right? But the amount of decrease here is going to be lesser because I have only one electron donating group. But in this case, I have two electron donating groups. Very important, very easy, right? So, so we can easily say that an aldehyde is always, whatever be the aldehyde, whatever be the ketone, definitely an aldehyde is going to be more reactive towards nucleophilic addition reactions. Towards nucleophilic addition reactions. Okay, right. Now, what if I compare two ketones then? Okay, say for example, I have say CH3, C double bond O CH3, and I say I compare it with CH3, CH2, C double bond O, CH3, and say I compare it with CH3, CH2, C double bond O, CH2, CH3, and say I compare it with this one, C double bond O, another benzene. Okay, so if I tell that this is compound number 1, compound number 2, compound number 3, compound number 4, tell me the order of reactivity towards nucleophilic addition reaction. What do you think is the criteria? Okay, first, before we move on to the answer, right, what do you think should be the criteria here?
It's electron donate the alkyl or aryl group's electron donating capacity.
Yeah, okay, all of them are going to be electron donating groups only. But between, say, this group, between CH3 and C2H5, there is no much difference. Okay, there is no much difference between electron donating power. Okay, there is not much difference here. Okay. So what other thing? Okay, one of the obvious criteria is obviously that the groups are different, so the electron donating powers are different. I'm not denying, but it is not much different. Okay, it is not much different. That is not the major component. There is some other thing. What do you think? Look at the mechanism and decide. Look at the mechanism there and you decide. I'll give you 1 minute to think about it. Okay, at least if I tell you the answer, will you be able to tell me the reason? Okay, so 1 is more reactive than 2, 2 is more reactive than 3, and 3 is more
Or
reactive
is
than
it
4.
is it steric hindrance or something?
Absolutely, yes, it is. Right, people, what I understanding, the nucleophile has to come and attack. If at all there are two big groups like this, obviously the nucleophile will find it difficult to come and attack the carbon. Is it not? Right. So the second criteria, the first criteria is this del plus, right? More and more del plus, more and more reactivity. And by that we decided that aldehydes are more reactive than ketones. That is okay. But if I give you two different aldehydes or two different ketones, what you have to do? You have to go for steric hindrance, right? So steric hindrance, right? Steric hindrance is inversely proportional to the reactivity. Higher the bulky groups we have, less and less would be the reactivity. Okay, so we understand that here I have only small methyl groups, right? Here I have one big ethyl group and one methyl group, so this is more bulky. And here I have two ethyl groups more bulkier than this, and here we have big benzene groups which is more bulkier than the C2H5s, right? So that is why the order is like this. Okay. Now same thing can be given for two different aldehydes also. Again, what you have to do? You have to go for steric hindrance. Okay, more and more bulky the carbon is, I mean the group attached to the carbon is, less and less would be the reactivity for that particular aldehyde or ketone. Okay, right. So now they'll tell that there are two reasons like this. First reason, this reason is what is called as electronic reason, right? Electronic reason, right? And this one is what is called as steric reasons. Right, so I have to go for two reasoning. One is with respect to the electronic nature, that is how much amount of del plus we have, right? And obviously the second one is what is called as steric reasons. Okay, right. So that is about the reactivity of a particular aldehyde or a ketone towards this nucleophilic addition reaction. Okay, fine. Now let us see what are all the different nucleophiles I can have. Now this is the general mechanism. This is your general mechanism. What are you seeing here? Right, now we'll try to examine what now the different types of nucleophiles you can have and what are going to be the corresponding products. Okay, right. Now look into this. Now under nucleophilic addition, the first reaction is addition of HCN, that is hydrogen cyanide. Okay, now people, can you go for the mechanism? Say if I give you this C double bond O, right, and if I give you HCN, right, can you go for the mechanism and tell me what is the final product? And you can send me the answer in WhatsApp. Now you know what is the mechanism. Nucleophile will attack, the C double bond O will break, and the electrophile has to come. Hope that makes sense, right? So keep all those things in mind and tell me, write the mechanism first and tell me what is the final product. You can send me in WhatsApp. Please do not sit idle. Okay, I can directly go for telling the answer and I can wind up. Okay, that is not the thing. Now that you understand, please go for it. Utilize these opportunities. Nobody will give you these opportunities. Not your school, nobody else, right? Please utilize all these opportunities. Go for it.
So directly you can write the product, right?
Directly you can write the product, but show me the mechanism also.
Sir, can you write? Can you give me a number, sir?
Sorry.
Your number.
Oh, my number. Okay. 8939219916. My number. Okay.
Sense.
Yeah, got it.
So is it correct, sir?
Yeah, 1 second, checking. So first Cn minus and then C double bond O breaks. So if C double bond O breaks, oxygen will have any charge?
Oh, sorry, sir.
If-
Forgot to add H.
Yeah, there should be a negative charge on the oxygen, and you know that there is an electrophile in the compound also. Yeah, Niklesh, I got yours also. Okay, Cn minus attacking you didn't show directly. You showed the O minus and H plus. You have to show the first step. Nucleophile attacking the carbonyl carbon. You have to show, Niklesh.
Okay.
Other things are fine. Right? So people,
I have a
what are we
doubt,
going?
sir.
What happened?
I have a doubt.
Yeah, tell me. Yes.
So, sir, when do you get NC, sir? CN, HCN can also be NC or CN. So,
Good question.
when
Very
do
good
you
question.
know?
Yeah. So what you have to understand is NC as a nucleophile actually is a very, very bad nucleophile. Okay, first of all, that you have to understand, right? See, we have C triple bond N, and this carbon is the one which is having the negative charge. Okay, and in NC, this nitrogen is the one which is going to have the negative charge. Again, there'll be obviously other carbon, other bond present, whatever the bond present is here. Don't, for example, Ag. Okay, right. So I would not say that this is having a negative charge. You have to understand that the nucleophilicity is coming from the lone pair on the nitrogen. Okay, so let us assume like this. Say we have KCN and we have AgCN. Okay, now this is an ionic compound, right? This is an ionic compound, so this can easily give K plus and Cn minus with carbon possessing the negative charge. Please understand. Okay, but this is not an ionic compound. This is completely covalent. You will see that this is how the compound looks, right? So if at all I'm going to use both of them as nucleophiles, definitely we know that one thing, charged nucleophiles are always more nucleophilic. There's something called as nucleophilicity. Okay, I don't know whether you have heard this term. Right? Nucleophilicity is a term. What is this? This is nothing but the reactivity of the nucleophile. Okay, right. So now we easily understand that whenever we have a negatively nucleophiles are either negatively charged or neutral. They cannot be positively charged because it will become an electrophile. Right. So what I can generally say is that the charged nucleophiles are always more reactive, or say they are more nucleophilic than the neutral nucleophiles. Okay. Right. Now in this case, you see that there's a charged nucleophile. In this case, how can I even create a nucleophile? Now when I have a lone pair on this, and this can go and attack some other species. Right. That way you will be able to have this kind of nucleophile present. Right. But obviously this is a charged nucleophile. This is a neutral nucleophile. So definitely the nucleophilicity of Cn minus is greater than the this particular AgCN. Okay. If at all this attacks, right? If at all this attack as a nucleophile, for example, you have already seen this in your this thing, right? Rx, if you understand, right? So if I put Cn minus, the carbon is the one which is going to make a bond with this alkyl group. So you'll get Rc triple bond N. Right, but same thing if I put with Rx, right? You understand that it is the nitrogen which will come and attack this carbon and the X minus groups. Okay, so you will form R. Now what bond is formed? Nitrogen is forming bond with the alkyl group, or say the carbon atom of the alkyl group. So you will form RNC like this. This is your isocyanide. Okay, and this is your cyanide. Okay. Now, coming back to this particular area, right? Can I use, for example, instead of HCN as okay, ionic, no doubt about it, but can I use AgCN? Okay, no, AgCN is very, very, very less reactive because it is very, very, very less nucleophilic for it to go and attack the carbonyl carbon. Okay, but HCN is nucleophilic enough to react with carbonyl carbon to form the corresponding products. Okay, understood? Whomever was asking
Yes,
that
it's
is okay.
clear, sir.
Good, good, right? Okay, so in this case, people, we understand that first CN minus comes. That is okay. 1 second, I'll just put my laptop in charge. It is going to get switched off. People, 1 second. Okay, great. So okay, I'll write it again here. It is clumsy. So we have this C double bond O, right? So from HCN, we understood that the first CN minus comes. Okay, now this CN minus is the nucleophile. Now go and attack the carbonyl carbon, and this bond has to break, right? So now we'll have the CO minus, right? And you have the CN coming and 2 more bonds, right? Depending on whether it's an aldehyde or a ketone, whatever it is, these 2 bonds stays as such. Then what you have? Then after CN minus, what is remaining? H plus is remaining. Okay. Now this H plus should be taken up. This should be taken up by the O minus. People, be very careful when I show the arrow shooting. Okay. In organic chemistry, the arrow shooting should always be from negative to positive, irrespective of whatever be the reaction. The arrow shooting should always be from negative to positive. You are seeing, right? This is negative, this is positive. That is how you attack. Right, so you should not like just because you have O minus and H plus is small, you should not tell that H plus is going to go and attack it. This is absolutely wrong. Right, it is the O minus which is going to come and attack the H plus. Right, even though both are same, this is by convention. This is what we follow in organic chemistry. Okay, right. So eventually, what is now going to happen? We have this CN already, and I have a OH coming, and you have 2 more bonds coming into the picture. Okay. Right. Now, this kind of compounds are what are called as cyanohydrins. Very, 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 very important. Okay. These are what are called as cyanohydrins. Okay. Because cyano is there, right? On the same carbon atom, there is a OH also. That's why it's called cyanohydrins. Right. So let us take a specific example now. Right. I think everybody understood the mechanism also, what is happening, how you have to do the arrow shootings. Everything should be perfect. Right? Okay. Now let us take some simple examples. Say if I give you, fine. If I give you CH, let me give you this. Okay. We have this particular compound with us. Okay. And I go for HCN. Go on and you can show the mechanism also, right? And show the mechanism and the final product. Go for it.
Done, sir.
Okay, something came up. Okay, CN minus. Okay, you have to show whomever it is who sent me 93442. Whose number is this? Okay, Devesh. Okay, so Devesh, what you have to do is you have to show this one, right? You are breaking this C double bond O. That also has to be shown. Other than that, everything is correct. Okay. Right. Next, this one. Okay, Cn minus. You should not. Okay. This was Nikhilesh, right? So Nikhilesh, see this attacking, right, and this breaking are simultaneous steps. You don't have to show it as two different steps. As this attacks, this bond is getting formed, and this bond has to be broken simultaneously. Both the things have to happen simultaneously. You have showed it at two steps, only single step. So other than that, everything is correct. Okay, next.
Okay.
Who else? Okay, Rohan sent. Okay, Rohan. Yeah, Rohan is perfect. Rohan, no mistakes. Right, good. Right, fine. People, very easy. So first comes Cn minus, come in attacking the carbonyl carbon. This bond breaks. So we would have had O minus and Cn here. Then the H plus attacking here. I mean, O minus attacking the H plus. So we have OH and C. Very simple. Okay, right. So that is the reaction for addition of HCN to your carbonyl compound. Okay, right. There is another addition which we'll see now, very important. This you have already studied in your biomolecules. I don't know how much you remember, but we have this reaction also you have studied, right? In addition of HCN to your glucose. If you can remember, we have already done this. I mean, I don't know whether I taught you, but you should have already seen this in case of your glucose. Glucose reacting with HCN to form glucose, what is it called as? Glucosinohydrin, it's called. Anyways, if you don't remember it, don't worry about it, right? Next reaction, again under nucleophilic addition reactions only. The second one, right, is what is called as, the reaction is addition of alcohols. Strange, right? We are going to add alcohols to your carbonyl compounds. Okay, exact same mechanism, except that instead of Cn minus and stuff, here we are going to have alcohol as the nucleophile. Okay, now how are we going to do this? Let us understand. So we have this C double bond O carbonyl compounds, right? Let me take an alcohol, ROH. Okay, people. Now we know that the nucleophiles need not be always charged nucleophiles. They can always be they can also be neutral nucleophiles, right? So alcohol is such one thing. Right? It can act as a neutral nucleophile. Why? Because I know that oxygen has 2 lone pairs on it. Okay, oxygen has 2 lone pairs on it. Okay, so along with this lone pair, this can go and attack the carbonyl carbon, and obviously this bond breaks, same thing, right? But how will you show it is what is important. So we have this O minus, okay, and then we have 2 more bonds, and then to this carbon, what is attached? Oxygen is attached. Okay, and to that oxygen hydrogen is attached, and to that oxygen again an alkyl group R is attached. Okay, now tell me one thing, is this correct? Is there is one thing missing? What is missing? Tell me. In this step, everything I did correctly except for one mistake. What is the mistake here, people? Can you tell me?
Oxygen will become O plus, right? The below one.
Yes. Correct. Because now you understand, people, this oxygen is neutral, right? This oxygen is neutral. It is donating its electron to the carbon. So obviously this oxygen should possess a positive charge. This oxygen should possess a positive charge. That's the mistake here, right? You have to be very, very careful. Every step, every small thing in the mechanism is very important. But your CBSE or NCERT doesn't, I don't know, like they don't encourage students doing mechanism, but organic chemistry is fun with only the mechanism. It is really boring without the mechanisms. Really boring. Okay, right. So we understand that this oxygen is going to have a positive charge. Okay, now I don't want to have this positive charge. So what I can do, from this I can remove a H plus. This H plus can be removed. Okay, now how do you remove the H plus? You have to show the heterolytic cleavage now. This oxygen hydrogen bond is going to break heterolytically. How will you show? Now this oxygen should not have positive charge, so it should get the electrons. So you will break this bond like this. Look at this. The arrow shooting, the bond will break heterolytically such that both the electrons will go to oxygen, so that the positive charge is gone. Okay, right? Now you removed H plus, right? Now that H plus will be taken up by this oxygen O minus. Okay, so can I write it like this? this is going to become COH, right? This H plus was removed and that H plus was taken up by this O minus. Done. 2 more bonds and I have an oxygen. The hydrogen is gone. What is remaining? Only your alkyl. Only your alkyl group. Okay. Now, this kind of compounds in which a carbon atom is having a OH and the same carbon atom is having an ether, is it not? This is like COC bond, COR. This is nothing but ether bond, and this is a OH bond, right? So a carbon atom having OH and OR, same carbon atom having OH and OR, these kind of compounds are what are called as hemiacetals. Okay. Right, these kind of compounds are what are called as hemiacetals. Very, very important, hemiacetals. Right, you would have studied this in your biomolecules also. You would have understood. How do you just look at the compound, look at a biomolecule, look at a, not a biomolecule, look at a carbohydrate, right, and tell whether it is going to be a reducing or non-reducing sugar. I told you that if at all that particular carbohydrate contains a hemiacetal, it is actually going to be a reducing sugar. I told you this. Right? What is a hemiacetal? There is a compound in which there is a carbon which is having OH and OR on that same carbon atom. Those kind of compounds are what are called as hemiacetals. Okay. Now, for the sake of you, let me show the mechanism one more time, little more clearly, people. Right? So I have C double bond O, right? And we have this ROH. We have the double lone pair, and that is going to attack here. This will break. Okay. So we have this CO minus. And we have O, H, and R, and this is having a positive charge. Now the heterolytic cleavage shows like this, and this O minus comes and takes up the H plus to form COH with 2 more bonds with OR. That's it. This is your hemiacetal. Okay, right? What is the time? Right. So this is how alcohols can get added to your carbonyl compounds. Okay, right. Now, people, this reaction can continue, right? This reaction can continue. How it will continue? Let me tell you. Now, once you form the hemiacetal, if at all you have alcohol in excess, now if you understand that, if at all this is in 1:1 ratio, if the carbonyl compound and the alcohol is in 1:1 ratio, obviously the reaction will stop at hemiacetal, right? Reaction stop at hemiacetal, right? But what if alcohol is in excess, right? If alcohol is in excess, people, if alcohol, one more alcohol is going to come, right? Now, please understand this. Let me write it as RO minus for the simplicity. Okay, let me write it as RO minus. Okay, now this RO minus can come and attack this particular carbon, and the OH minus can leave. Okay, OH minus can leave. So to form COR, OR, and 2 more bonds. Okay, what is happening here? One more this alcohol which is there in the hemiacetal is again replaced by this RO minus, again replaced by this ether, if you correctly say, right? And this kind of compounds where 2 ORs are there on the same carbon atom, these are what are called as acetals. These are what are called as acetals. Okay, people. Right, so hemiacetal is the first step. If at all you have only 1:1 ratio between the carbonyl compound and the alcohol. But if alcohol is in excess, you'll always end up with acetals. You always end up with acetals. Means there is going to be one carbon which is going to have one OR and another OR on the same carbon atom. Just like here, one OH and one OR on the same carbon atom. Here OR and OR on the same carbon atom is going to be called as a acetal. And if you can remember, in biomolecules, I told you, if at all you have hemiacetal, it is going to be called as a reducing sugar. If at all you have acetals only, then that is going to be a non-reducing sugar. Okay, that is going to be a non-reducing sugar. Okay, right. So I think we'll stop this for today, people. Right? I don't want to continue further. We'll start with some examples in the next class. Okay, and we'll see more and more amount of nucleophilic addition reactions. Okay, now till now you have seen only 2. I would say 3. One is Grignard reagent, another one is HCl, the other one is alcohol. Right? 3 things you have seen undergoing addition reaction with the carbonyl compound. Okay, we'll see more. There are so many things, there are so many nucleophilic addition reactions. We'll see that, and then we'll move on to some other reactions. Right? Is there any doubts for anybody? Any particular doubt you want me to clear? Anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
No
Okay,
doubts,
people.
sir.
Right. Okay. Let me stop sharing, and I think I can stop the class also. Thank you so much, people. We meet again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.